And like I started to feel scared because it was like, wow, this is a volcano, and then like we could see the bubbles coming out.
Have you ever wondered what it's like to jump into the mouth of an active volcano and see what the inside of a volcano looks like? Like, you can do that in El Salvador. And I think it's worth coming to El Salvador just for that.
So you may be wondering how in this huge lake, Mark and the driver are able to find the exact spot where the opening to the volcano is.
So I went with La Libertad Divers, a really nice guy named Mark. He's lived here for 7 years. He was able to kind of explain to me, like with an outsider's eyes, what the past 7 years here in El Salvador have been like, what the transition has been like with the current government and some of the safety things and what future prospects are. Like, of course, he had different opinions compared to the locals that we talked to, so it was interesting to compare. But he took me on this excellent dive. It was about an 1.5-hour drive from El Tunco. We got to drive past the president's house, not like the mansion. Oh, by the way, did you know that the mansion is open for visitors? It's like a tourist center, so we can just like go walk through the president's mansion with no appointment. So we drove past like the neighborhood that the president actively lives in, and then we drove past the Secot prison center, drove up and up and up and through the mountain, and then we got to the crater lake. Like, it was crazy. Got a boat at the shore, hopped in there.
Good morning, YouTube. After an 1.5 hours or so in traffic driving through the mountains, we have reached Lake Ilopongo, I think it's called, where we're gonna go diving. And it's very cutesy. We got some colorful shops over here. Huge lake, and I guess that's the volcano way back at the end. It must be. Yeah, here comes the adventure.
Drove until we could see like bubbles coming up in the middle of the lake. And he's like, okay, we know that the vents are down there. Jumped into the water, smelled, tasted like sulfur. It was really clear, really warm. I went like in just a swimsuit, no need for a wetsuit or anything.
All right, guys, so what I didn't know is this is actually the volcano. Like, this that we're seeing is the mouth of the volcano. And for our dive, we're gonna go into the volcano, and then we're gonna see the new volcano that was formed from an eruption about 150 years ago. And we're gonna go see the cracks and the sulfur and like all the cool stuff that Mark was just saying. So you may be wondering how in this huge lake, Mark and the driver are able to find the exact spot where the opening to the volcano is. So he was explaining the first time they would just drive around in the boat and look for bubbles. That was cool, he just threw the anchor. But I guess here's the spot, and now it's saved on Google Maps to know where it is. So with that, I'm gonna jump in and pee, and then we're gonna go down. He's bringing his camera rig with the lights, and we're gonna show you guys what the inside of a volcano looks like. Wow, look at all those bubbles. Okay, I guess I can't see them from above water, but there's a lot of bubbles coming from underwater. Crazy, crazy.
Dove down, and the dive was crazy. Like, I felt scared because you go under, and as you start to see, you're like, oh shit, that's like a volcano. Okay, let's go in it. That was crazy to me. I was scared, but I was like, no, this dude's done this hundreds of times, I'll go with him. And as we started going down, we could see the bubbles, we could see these interesting fish. There were these hot springs that were coming near the vents. And so these hot springs like would be burning hot to the touch. And the areas where the bubbles would be coming out, I guess it was like sulfur that was being leaked. And so there was like lots of volcanic rock. It was like cool, like porous, like very hard to touch. But as you went to near where the vents were, it would turn to gold, or like this yellowy gold color all over. So there'd be like lines of gold through the volcanic rock. And when you touch it, it just disintegrates. So I guess that's like the effect of the sulfur on the volcanic rock. It was super cool. Like, if you want to dive inside of an active volcano.
That was so cool, oh my god. So we went down, and it was kind of scary at the beginning. Like, we saw kind of this wall kept going deeper and deeper down a corner, and like I started to feel scared because it was like, wow, this is a volcano. And then like we could see the bubbles coming out and swim over some areas that was like hot, and those hot areas, I guess the bubbles, like it would turn the rock, like it looked like, I don't know what volcanic rocks look like, but I guess that's what it was. It started to turn it yellow, and you could see like ranges of yellow and gold, and when you touch them, they kind of disintegrate, and there's fish. That was super cool.
Oh, like I didn't know that was humanly possible. It was crazy. And then we did another dive too. where there's this interesting history of there's a previous volcano's peak is so inside that lake. But about 30 years ago, there was an earthquake, and there was a fisherman who had anchored his boat to that mountain and was there fishing while the earthquake happened. And because of the shift of that mountain in the earthquake, it collapsed and pulled his anchor underneath. And so now when you go under and you dive, you see the mountain that's still there, and then where it's broken, and then a fishing boat stuck there, and then a bunch of other mountain that fell back on top of it. Because the anchor had pulled the boat down when the earthquake happened. So that was really cool, to reiterate. Really cool volcano hikes, really good surfing. Top 2 coolest dive spots I've ever been to.
Well guys, you heard it here first. 2 dives, a long nap in the sun, and seeing a boat stuck under rocks in the volcanic lake. Later, we were on our way back to land to fill our bellies with some lunch, and then have our meetings as if we didn't go scuba diving in the morning. Land ho!